Imagine a creature so colossal, so majestic, and yet so hauntingly familiar that it feels like it belongs in a fairy tale. Yet it once walked right where you're standing now. Towering over men, draped in thick shaggy fur and wielding tusks longer than a grown man is tall, the mammoth was. Just an ancient elephant. It was a symbol of survival in a brutal world of ice and predators. But then, it disappeared. Not gradually, not gently. The mammoth vanished in a whisper, leaving behind frozen bones, scattered ivory, and a mystery that has baffled humanity for thousands of years. Why did these giants vanish? Is it the wrath of climate change? The merciless hunt of early humans? Or something far more complex, far more terrifying? In today's journey, we're diving headfirst into the icy tombs of Siberia, the windswept plains of Ice Age America, and the strange isolated islands where the last mammoths made their final stand. With the help of cutting-edge science, ancient DNA, and theories pulled from the minds of the world's greatest paleontologists, from Beth Shapiro to Dr. Adrian Lister, we'll try to piece together one of prehistory's greatest cold cases. What really killed the mammoth? Just when you think you've heard it all, you'll learn that the mammoth story might not be over. Because right now, in secret labs and snowy laboratories, science is trying to bring them back. The word mammoth itself comes from the Russian mammoth, and it's a name that echoes across time with a weight as heavy as the creature itself. These Ice Age giants belonged to the genus Mammothus, distant cousins of today's African and Asian elephants. They first appeared around 5 million years ago in Africa, but soon migrated across Eurasia and North America, adapting to frigid conditions with remarkable evolutionary precision, standing up to 4 meters tall and weighing as much as 8 tons. The woolly mammoth was the most iconic species, with their thick layers of fur, a hump of fat behind their heads, small ears to conserve heat, and curved tusks sometimes exceeding 5 meters in length. They were perfectly engineered for the Ice Age environment. According to Dr. Adrian Lister, one of the foremost mammoth experts and author of Mammoths, Giants of the Ice Age, the mammoth was not just built to survive the cold, it thrived in it. They roamed in vast herds, social creatures led by matriarchs similar to modern elephants. Fossils found across Siberia, Canada, and Alaska show clear evidence of structured migratory patterns and even communal protection of calves. In fact, some scientists suggest that the mammoth's intelligence may have rivaled that of elephants, today creatures already known for empathy, memory, and social bonding. But their most striking feature, the tusks served not just as weapons against predators or rivals, but as tools to dig through snow for food and as instruments of dominance in mating battles. These tusks were also highly prized by ancient humans, and that's where the trouble begins. To understand the fall of the mammoth, we first need to understand the world it ruled. During the Pleistocene epoch, stretching from about 2.6 million years ago to 11,700 years ago, Earth was in the grip of repeated glacial cycles. Giant ice sheets covered much of North America, Europe, and Asia. Temperatures plummeted. Megafauna flourished. The Mammoth Steppe, a vast expanse of grassland stretching from Spain to Canada, was perhaps the largest biome in the world at the time. Despite the cold, it was rich in life. Bison, cave lions, giant ground sloths, and of course, mammoths. These creatures weren't just survivors, they were keystone species, shaping the environment through their grazing and migration. Beth Shapiro, a geneticist and author of How to Clone a Mammoth, notes that mammoths helped maintain the grasslands. Their disappearance may have helped accelerate ecological collapse. It's a chilling thought. Perhaps their extinction was indeed just the end of a species, but the start of an environmental domino effect that we are still feeling today. But the Ice Age was a fragile balance. Even the mighty mammoth couldn't stand forever against the forces about to be unleashed. So what killed the mammoths? The short answer: it wasn't one thing. It was a perfect storm. As the Ice Age began to thaw around 12,000 years ago, temperatures surged. Forests replaced grasslands. The mammoth steppe began to vanish. According to radiocarbon dating and climate reconstructions from ice cores, these changes happened fast, possibly within decades. The mammoth's highly specialized adaptations, once their greatest strengths, now made them vulnerable. But climate wasn't the only threat. Around the same time, Homo sapiens were spreading across the mammoth's territory. Armed with stone-tipped spears, fire, and cunning group tactics, early humans were deadly predators. Cave paintings from France to Siberia depict detailed images of mammoths suggesting both admiration and intimate knowledge of their behavior. Archaeological sites show clear evidence of mammoth hunting, with entire bones arranged in patterns used as shelters. Paul Martin's overkill hypothesis, proposed in the 1960s, argues that humans played a decisive role in megafauna extinctions. And while this theory is still debated, newer studies like those led by Dr. Love using ancient DNA suggest a more nuanced view, that climate stress weakened mammoth populations and humans delivered the final blow. And now, right here in the middle of our journey, comes a moment for you. Yes, you watching this video? We uncover these ancient truths not just to marvel at the past, but to learn from it. If you're re-enjoying this exploration into Earth's most majestic giants and want to keep uncovering mysteries, history textbooks barely mentioned, subscribe to Vertex of Time right now. It helps us bring these stories to life and bring you with us into the depths of time. You might think the mammoths all died off in some grand ice age apocalypse. But here's the twist. Some of them survived. Long after the mainland populations vanished, tiny herds persisted in isolated corners of the Earth. On Wrangel Island, north of Siberia, a dwarf population of mammoths lived until about 4,000 years ago, contemporaries of the Egyptian pyramids. These island mammoths were smaller, likely due to limited resources and island dwarfism. But their fate was tragic. Genetic analysis of Wrangel Island mammoths, conducted by Love's team, showed signs of genetic meltdown, harmful mutations, low diversity, and eventual collapse. Another population may have survived on St. Paul Island in Alaska until 5,600 years ago. Their extinction was likely tied to rising sea levels, freshwater loss, and, you guessed it, human interference. These isolated survivors are a haunting reminder. Extinction isn't always a fiery end. Sometimes it's a slow, silent fade. And sometimes it's avoidable. Here's where the line between science fiction and reality begins to blur. Today, scientists are attempting to bring back the mammoth, or something very close to it. Using preserved DNA from permafrost frozen remains and the genome of the Asian elephant, researchers like George Church at Harvard and his team at Colossal Biosciences are working on creating a hybrid creature, a cold-resistant elephant engineered with mammoth traits. The goal isn't just to resurrect a species for novelty. It's about rewilding. The hope is that these neo-mammoths could help restore the Arctic tundra, combat climate change by knocking down trees to revive grasslands, and reseed lost ecosystems. Beth Shapiro, however, warns that even if we can, doesn't mean we should. Ethical concerns abound about animal welfare, ecosystems, and unintended consequences. But whether you see it as a miracle or madness, the fact remains: the mammoth may one day walk again. And what would that mean for us, for conservation? For the relationship between mankind and nature? That is a question we may have to answer very soon. The story of the mammoth is one of wonder and warning. These creatures were not monsters or myths. They were real. They walked with humans. They thrived in a world that no longer exists. And they vanished, in part because of the very beings who now seek to resurrect them. But maybe the mammoth's legacy isn't just in their bones or frozen carcasses. Maybe it's in the lessons they offer. About balance. About respecting the ecosystems we inhabit. About understanding that even the mightiest can fall when nature shifts or when humanity presses too hard. And maybe, just maybe, they teach us that extinction is not the end of the story. So the next time you see a drawing of a woolly beast with curved tusks or hear the word mammoth, don't just think of the past, think of the future. Because if we choose wisely, if we act boldly, perhaps one day the children of our children will look out across a snowy plain, and see a shadow moving in the mist. It's not a ghost, but a mammoth reborn. And until that day, let us never forget them.